Hey, hi, hello, divas. Welcome back. How are y'all doing? I'm doing pretty all right. I mean, I am officially engaged, which is very, very exciting. I know that last week I recorded very shortly before actually popping the question and making the restaurant style dinner in my living room and all that. But yes, I have the ring on my finger. Ethan has the ring on his finger. We are engaged. It is very exciting, just in time for Pride Month, which again, happy Pride Month. We are still solidly in the early half of Pride Month, which is exciting. I will say just real quick with at least in regards to my engagement and wedding and all that, because I know that some of y'all divas are going to be asking that we are going to do one thing at a time. Ethan is going to graduate college first here in September, and then we will start planning the wedding. So just one thing at a time. So we are totally fine with having a relatively long engagement. I mean, we've been together for 9 years, so like, what's a long engagement, you know? So we're just gonna take this slow, nice and stress free, and I imagine it's going to end up being around, give or take, the 10-year mark of us being together is when we'll end up getting married, which is kind of, romantic and cute. So I like that. But that's pretty much the update there. Before we get into everything, I do just want to say thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here again. And don't forget to rate 5 stars or however many stars you think this is worth, but I prefer it to be 5. Rate 5 stars, follow, subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends. And then also, should you feel inclined, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee set up. That is buymeacoffee.com/diva, buymeacoffee.com/YKNOWDIVA, just like the name of the show. Thank you so much to those of you who have donated. I definitely do not ask for it, request it, or just like, it's there for if you feel so inclined, and those of you that have, I very much appreciate it. But yeah, let's just get right on into it, Diva. Okay, all right. So it is Pride Month. So the threads void, what's happening biggest, like the biggest pressing thing, or not even pressing, just like the biggest thing is the Pride Month tags. So like the Happy Pride, Pride Month, Pride 2024, just like a handful of tags regarding Pride Month do that bit where, similar to for New Year's with Happy New Year, it has the rainbow colors kind of just like gradiating on the tag, which is kind of fun. But and then whenever you like it, it'll do the confetti and the rainbow and all that. So that's been fun using those tags and seeing everyone connect that way. And it's fun seeing all the gay. So my feed is very, very queer and gay and prideful right now, which is lovely. So I love seeing that. But I don't know if it's because of that tag, or like whenever they roll out something like that, like there's been a weird algorithm slash like low engagement thing going on. It ebbs and flows. I know this happens. It's happened before, and then it's gonna happen again. It's gonna continue happening. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there hasn't been any major drama that I've been privy to. But even still, like, y'all know me, I don't like report on the drama. I just tell you if there was any that I saw, and I didn't see even any rumblings about anything this past week. So I guess that's a good thing. But that's pretty much it for the Threads Void. So moving right on into Diva Book Club, I did finish Magnolia Parks. I can't remember if I had finished it by the time I recorded this last week or not. Maybe I did, but I think I'm pretty sure I did. So yeah, I did finish that, but I did start uh Call Me by Your Name for Pride Month. I was able to I suggested exclusively queer stories for Pride Month to my book club, and they were happy to oblige. And they ended up voting, or all of us voted on Call Me by Your Name. So that's been fun. I started the audiobook for that, and it's divided up into parts, not chapters. So I'm almost done with part 1, which I think is like almost 2 hours worth of it out of a 6-hour novel. So a good chunk of the way in, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's nice to be reading a queer story. And then I mean, I haven't even seen the movie, and I knew it was like an Academy Award winning screenplay from like 2018, I believe. I mean, I believe that's the one that they won. But yeah, so I haven't even seen that yet. So I'll read this, and then I'll get to watch the movie, which will be fun. But so that's pretty much going on for that's what's going on for Diva Book Club. As far as what I'm watching, I did finally get a chance to watch the Chromatical Ball live at the Dodger Stadium movie that Lady Gaga did. So good. I mean, I knew it was going to be good. I've seen her 3 times live in my life and have enjoyed every single time. So I was thrilled to see this film. I did think, I don't know why I thought I would. Maybe it was just a wishful thinking. What I was hoping for. I was hoping that there was going to be like a documentary or like a behind the scenes type of portion to it, and I didn't. I guess I wasn't expecting it to be just like a cut and dry concert movie, which I mean is still fine. Like I didn't get to go to this tour, so I still loved it. But I did think that there was going to be more. I guess hoping that there was going to be more, but definitely was not disappointed. Just was it was something a little bit different than what I had in my head for whatever reason. But even still, I loved it. Just as I predicted, I cried during multiple times during. I teared up, but I did cry during the when she performed "Born This Way," particularly the acoustic intro to it, where it's just her and the piano, and she had her little monologue about things and about the queer community and loving yourself and all of that. And I have a very strong connection with that song and that album, and I have the words "Born This Way" in that font from the single art tattooed on my arm, along with like a unicorn and a triangle like reference to that video. So it's very important to me. So whenever she does that song, it gets me, but especially when she adds some emotional and meaningful commentary to it. So that I definitely loved that. And she did tease LG7 with Dance in the Shadow. It was literally just that line, but I'm still excited nevertheless. I have no idea when it comes out. I don't even think she's announced any of that yet. But the photography that she's been releasing, like these photo shoots she's been doing, it seems very like return to form Gaga. Like and that's very exciting. So it seems like she's kind of going back in the vein of the Gaga that I grew up with, which is very exciting. So I can't wait to see what she does there. Besides that, of course, I've still been watching All Stars 9 for Drag Race. I'm one episode behind. I believe the latest episode, I mean, came out today because it's Friday. But the last episode that I watched was the makeover one with the Roxy and Vanjie double win, and that felt correct to me. It was a great episode, and so I mean, like it top to bottom, great episode, making over the firefighters and some of them clear, some of them not. But I mean, it was a fun episode. I always love the makeover one, and I just love Roxy Andrews, and I love seeing her do well. So here's to hoping that she does well in this latest episode that I haven't seen yet. I need to catch up, but I'm really hoping that Roxy does well. Fingers crossed. But that's pretty much it for what I'm watching. Transitioning right on in to what I'm listening to right now, which I've still like the latest thing that just dropped today is Charlie XCX's new album Brat. I listened to it all the way through once this morning just by myself with my coffee, and I don't think it's 100% no skip. There are a couple songs that I probably wouldn't listen to if they came on in the shuffle, but like by and large, for the most part, I think it's a strong pop album, strong like electronic clubby kind of album, experimental for sure. I think it's one of Charlie's best ones, but I enjoyed it. I'll definitely be coming back to it. And yeah, but I definitely need to spend some more time with it because I only listened to it the one time all the way through, and then kind of had it going while we were driving around today. Ethan and we went to brunch and we were listening to it in the car, and he said it was kind of like a hit or a miss with some skips, but I need to spend a little bit more time with it to really solidify my opinion. But first impressions are it's fun and I like it. It's probably not going to be one that I go back to super often, outside of like the singles. But I do really like, I think my favorite song on there um is, God, what was it? It's Sympathy is a Knife. That one is, I think, my favorite one so far. But that's pretty much wraps up what I've been listening to, besides just the usual suspects. Like I've been listening to still Radical Optimism. That album has been on repeat, and just my standard Spotify DJ. But and then of course the Ari album. I need to watch the new music video for The Boy Is Mine. I haven't yet, but I heard it's really good, so I need to swing around and watch that. But that pretty much wraps that up. And as far as what I'm playing, still this new season of Fortnite, but haven't been playing it a whole lot outside of the stream with the Angel Squad and just a couple times with a friend. But honestly, like this season's not my favorite. The whole car based one, it's fine, it's fun enough, but it's not my favorite game style and emphasis. And then also the battle pass itself is just kind of like the skins and stuff in it. It's all just kind of meh. But so I haven't been playing a whole lot of it, but it's definitely the car season. Besides that, I've still been playing World of Warcraft with my brother because the Mist of Pandaria remix has been going on, and he's like finding out all the ways to help like power level characters and stuff. And because with the leveling system within that particular remix, you could go really fast with the dungeon dailies and stuff. So we've been doing that, and so that's been super fun. But that pretty much wraps this stuff up for this first half, and we can get right into the guest segment for the I Want to Know Diva. And this week's I can't even remember now when we actually recorded this segment. It's been a while. Like it was when I was backlogging a lot of the guest portions. But this week I'm hanging out with Stephen Kish from Threads, one of my friends on there, and he's gonna tell us about his like insane medical story and just like how he's like he's been around. Like it's been crazy. I'm just gonna let him tell it, but you know what, let's just jump right on into it, Diva. Well, hey, hi, hello, divas. Welcome to another segment of I Want to Know Diva, the part of the show where I just bring on a guest, a friend, a Threads friend most of the time, to chat about either passion, hobby, just tell me a little something about their life, just here to hang out and chat. But today I'm very excited to have one of the, if not one of the OG followers of mine, at least like very soon after OG. But anyway, very sweet, delightful human being. Please welcome Stephen Kish, everybody. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy you could join. How
Thank
are you doing
you.
today?
I'm good. My head looks very giant in the recording, so I usually don't look at them, and because I'm just like, don't look, your head looks big. So that's
Oh,
that's what I'm doing. But I did a lot of cleaning this morning because I've been up and I'm feeling very OCD and like super spring cleany. So I've been doing that for like a week.
well, good. I mean, you're doing better than me. I have yet to start any of the spring cleaning, so I'm gonna take that as
Look,
inspiration.
if it makes you feel any better, this has been like 3 years in the making. So
Well,
I wasn't really on top of anything. It had just reached its breaking point, and I was like, well, now I have to do this.
it's
I
now or never. Sink or
was like,
swim
it's now
time.
or I'm just going to live in a den of filth like a crazy person in Hoarders.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that I'm gonna
Except, actually, I was going to tell you a funny story. My dad
yeah.
is actually a hoarder. And when he moved out
Oh.
of his house, he was like, I can't find my one cat. And then this is an
Uh-uh.
episode of Hoarders. And the
Yeah.
cat was like dead under a bunch of pizza boxes.
Oh
I
my
was like,
god. Well, rip to
it's
that
not
cat, but
funny. It's
oh,
yeah. I was just like, Dad, what are you doing? But yeah,
I
anecdote.
mean that
Anyway, keep going.
very much is an exact, like, I feel like that has been an episode of Hoarders, if like that exact scenario. But my goodness.
I've definitely seen that episode. I think I'm pretty sure. Like parent in
Well,
trouble, you've got to go help your parent, and you're like, you've just got to throw away these pizza boxes. You don't need them.
oh my goodness. Well, all of that fun stuff aside, I'm glad you're doing well. What are we here chatting about today? I know I already have a general idea, but I'll let you tell the divas.
Okay, so again, hi everyone. So we're just gonna get a fun little story out of the way. I died in 2018, and I
Whoa.
was dead for 3 minutes and 52 seconds in the
Ugh.
ambulance on the way to the hospital because I flatlined. They used the giant like hypodermic needle, like Pulp Fiction when they do it with Uma Thurman, and that's what happened.
Like right through like the chest, the middle of the chest. Oh my god.
Yep. Yeah, they cracked a lot of it because they had to just like puncture, and like I sat up and it was still in me, and I was like, what is happening? And so that, which is also
Wow.
funny because I have this weird thing where dates always align, And so I graduated college that exact same day that I died, but it was like 14 years later. And I was like, that's so strange. And so like things pop up
Wow.
on that day all of the time. And I'm always just like, this is so weird. Like just so weird. Like just like
Gosh.
little things too. I'll find like something and it'll have the date written on it. And I'm like, why do I always see 12/13? I'm like, I feel like it's like when you have a pregnant friend and then you don't know that like, you're not paying attention to other people. And then you have that one pregnant friend or the friend who has like a yellow car. And then suddenly you see all these pregnant people and all these yellow cars.
Yep. Suddenly you're gonna always be reminded. But there's a name for that. I can't remember what it is, but like it's yeah. You're gonna see that date for the rest of your life. It's gonna be everywhere. It's gonna pop up
Yeah,
forever.
exactly. And so then I actually, the reason it happened was because I was an undiagnosed type 2 diabetic.
Okay.
And my sugar, so if you know the numbers for diabetics, I'll just kind of briefly go over them before I continue. Anything over a blood sugar level of 300
Okay.
is potentially fatal or coma inducing that you don't wake up from.
Okay. Oof.
So I didn't know anything about being diabetic, never had been told this by a doctor. My blood sugar level got to 1400 and my blood basically turned to syrup and stopped my heart. So
Ah.
it was a weird experience. I actually did not feel it when it happened.
That was gonna be my next question. Like, what were you feeling during that time?
I was really, really confused because it was weird because like an ambulance came and because I had been sick for days and I was just like, because at that point I was still drinking. And so I just thought I had had a really bad hangover and like gotten myself sick. And so, but this had been days and days and days. Like I couldn't keep anything down, like food, water, nothing. It would go like in and then just come right back up. And so got to a point where I was in the bathroom and started spitting out something. And then like
Ah.
skin from inside of my mouth and throat just like came up into like, and I was like, okay, I think I need to call an ambulance. So
Yeah.
they get there and the ambulance guy is like, the paramedic, he says, oh, well, you're a diabetic. And I just looked at him because I was so confused and I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, yeah,
No.
you are. And so he did that. And then, as I told you with numbers, later on my 40th birthday, I thought I was actually going to have to go to the hospital. And when I called an ambulance, it was that same guy who came in
Shut up.
December of 2018. And it was funny because I didn't recognize him. And he's like, I remember you. And he's like, you're the dead guy that's not dead. And I was like, well, yeah, thank you for that summation.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess technically true.
Yeah. But it was very scary because the medical system is not built for very sick people. It's built to profit off those people. So it's not as if anybody's saying, oh, well, let's find you a cure for this, because technically there is no cure for diabetes. I mean, they're working towards it, but type 2 diabetes can never really be cured, and at least from my viewpoint. But
Yeah.
then we fast forward a few years to 2022, and I had not been taking care of myself. And I ended up in the hospital in September of 2022. It was the 27th, I believe, or the 22nd. It was one of those 2 dates. So anyway, what ended up happening was I went and I'd been having this strange abdominal swelling that I'd never had, and literally it looked like the movie Alien. Like
Oh
it
my
felt like
god.
something was going to bust out of my chest.
How
And then
terrifying.
also in like a span of a matter of days, I had put on like 35 pounds. Like and like so I'm in
Just days.
yeah, like
That's insane.
72 hours, yeah. And so I end up going to the hospital and they tell me, they're like, well, you have end stage liver disease and you will need a transplant in the immediate future. And I was like, and then I remember just feeling so overwhelmed and I was just like, oh, okay. And then I end up going, I was in the hospital for a few days, I think until, I was there until October the 3rd, because then I went and saw my regular doctor on October the 4th. They gave me some kind of shot while I was there. October the 5th, 2022, so just a little under 2 weeks after being diagnosed. And then the thing is too, and I don't know, I'm sure you probably have family members or know people, but like sometimes they'll just give you a diagnosis and then
Yep.
like not really tell you how to manage it, not give you any resources, like not like you're just like, oh, so I just get this insulin and you want me to just do this? Okay, cool.
Yeah. What do you want me to do about
Um,
it? Post about it online? What do you want to just tell people my diet? Like, what am I supposed to do with this
I will tell
information?
you that I honestly I found Reddit to be one of the most helpful resources for me in
Mm,
terms of like people talking about food, people talking about management, and it's an unfiltered forum. Now, of course, it is Reddit. So
sure.
it's
But
just like everything on the internet.
you take it with a grain of salt, but it sounds like it was at least something. When the sad part is, it sounds like that was more than what the medical system gave you to
Oh
work
yeah,
with.
the medical system? No. They were just like, "Oh, well you were an alcoholic. This is why you have liver disease." I'm like, "Okay." So, on the 5th of October, 2022, 2 weeks after or so, I wound up in a coma for 9 days. I know. I
You can.
know.
What a
And when you think
trip!
about can it get worse? It can. It
Oh my
can.
gosh. Well, and what is? I mean, I'm sure, but like interrupt you a little bit here, but like,
No,
my goodness,
please do.
what is that? Like, is it just? Does it feel like a nap, or what does a coma feel like? What happens to you? Where do
Okay,
you go?
so okay, yeah, that's a good question. I can answer this question in two regards. The first is from when I died, and I did
All
have
right.
an NDE. So it felt I can say it didn't hurt when I died per se, but what I can say is that it felt like I got punched out of my body. Like so
Oh.
and it felt like I fell through something, but my body was above me. And then I was just sort of I was like, at least in my head or during the time period it was happening, I was in just sort of I would say it's a way station or an in between because it didn't have any characteristics of anything anybody tells you about, like, oh, I died and I went to heaven and they sent me back.
Mm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
well, okay. But like for me, it was just a very strange, like almost a fluid place where everything moves around and changes. And it
Huh.
was very odd. And, but with a coma, you don't remember anything because my comas, the cause of them is with liver disease. Once your liver can't process like certain things in your body, you
Mm-hmm.
start to get a buildup of ammonia, like just like not the same as cleaning ammonia, but
Sure.
again, same
Yeah.
thing, just different. But if it can't clean the ammonia out of your system and your ammonia gets too high, then you will go into a coma. And so
Mm.
my ammonia level got too high. And I remember because I was with my mom and I stayed at her house. And the last thing I remember was having a grilled cheese at like 2 in the morning and falling asleep watching The Expanse. And then the next time I woke up, it was 9 days later and I was taped to a bed in the hospital. I had no clue where I was. I had no clue what was happening. I was essentially naked and like bound to the bed. And then it was so weird because like I couldn't see like there was nobody there. You couldn't hear anybody. And I was like, what is going on? And then they were
How
like, oh, well, you were really
terrifying.
sick. And I was like, I don't understand. And so they explained it. And then it ended up happening again in April of last year.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So the good news is it hasn't happened since then, which is wonderful.
I love
Um,
that.
and my liver does show normal numbers now, so it doesn't show that it's an end stage liver disease anymore. It does not show that I need a transplant, but I can just
Oh,
manage
good.
things this way, which I
Wonderful.
think
Well,
is
that
great.
what a relief. Really.
Yeah, it is because the thing is like, well, it's a relief, but it's also strange because when they told me originally, they were like, you probably, if you take care of yourself, they're like, maybe 2 years. Like when I was
Mm.
initially there, they were like, you won't live the next 2 weeks. And then like, I just like, and it's funny because I always say like, I've beaten death multiple times, but I'm like, well, I died, I came back, 2 comas, 2 car crashes that should have killed me. None of it did. None of it did.
Wow. I mean,
So, as a friend of mine told
there's
me, I will quote and say, I am immortal until proven otherwise.
hell yeah. I mean, I'll take it. I'm so glad that you're still here. But
Yeah.
wow. Wow, wow, wow. I had to
Stressful.
take that in first. I mean, yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
And then, like, I mean, literally, I would see my primary doctor like once every 8 or 9 days. So, like, literally, I've seen her more than like friends and family. Like,
Oh,
so, and like, I was always having to get blood tests. I always had to get like something jammed into me. And the thing you have to understand that is the most repulsive thing, because I didn't even know that women experience this during pregnancy, is the
mm,
need for a paracentesis. So, remember when I told you I gained the 35 pounds?
uh-huh.
Well, they have a way to take it out.
Oh,
And so they did. And they basically take a very giant needle and stick it into your left or right side. And
mm.
then they put a catheter in there and literally drain all of the fluid into these bottles. And it looks like Gatorade, and like a yellowish Gatorade.
Why?
And then I remember I was like, how do you guys just have like regular conversations with people while you're doing this? I was like, I mean, this is not like a normal conversation starter.
No.
Like, hey, I'm gonna extract fluid from you. I mean, it does make you feel like you like really hit it hard in the gym though, because it's like, hey, I'm 35 pounds lighter today.
Yeah. Oh my god, wow. I'm skinny legend. It's me.
Yes, exactly. You know, I have that pin on one of my bags.
Yes. Oh hell yeah, as you should. My
Yeah,
goodness.
my best friend that I've known forever sent it to me for my birthday. He was like, because this is you. I was like, thanks.
You know what? I'll take it. Hell yeah.
But he
Well,
also sent me one that was a black trash bag that just says trash. And so I embraced that one even more.
I mean that's what your handle is. Yeah, like that. That's right for your trash
Exactly.
panda pizza rat. Are those all
You know that,
all things you enjoy?
yes, they are. But it was so funny because I got that account because they terminated my original account without ever telling me or
The
anything like that. And
audacity.
then like could never sign back in. And like I was
Uh-uh.
just like, oh, I guess it was that last post that really did me in.
And what was the last post that you think? What got you zucked?
There was a congressman who, when he was active in Congress, actively uh, helped create laws and get things passed that were harmful to the LGBTQIA plus
Mm,
community.
mm.
So then he leaves, and now, mind you, too, when he was in office, he was super suspect. I'm like, oh, okay, like you seem very gay to me. Like you're traveling around with a man friend, you know, this and that
Mhm.
and the other. And again, no judgment for him, but he ends up coming out like a few years after he was in office. And I posted something basically being like, and because everyone was sending him all this support and love. And I don't mind if people come out later, but I do have a problem if you've actively tried to harm us and then
Oh
you want to
yeah.
come into our community and within our community, you want everyone to support you. What have you done to even deserve that support from the community other than actively harm us?
Right. Yeah, no. You can't just there's got to be some accountability in there.
And so it was. I think it was because I tagged him in the post and everything, and I was like, "You're not welcome here," and I was like, "And you can't
Ooh.
sit with us."
Mhm.
And
Oops.
I added some other things,
I'm
but
sure
yeah,
some
that got my
colorful
old account.
language. Mm.
It got, yes, that, and there was like I think it was a picture from probably like Grinder or Scruff that he had, that they like when they found out he was gay, they got that. And he's obviously naked. And instead of it, I was on a forum on my favorite website. Oh no, they didn't, because I love those people in the comments on that website. But it was a picture of him from Grinder, clearly like a side nude. And then instead of being able to see anything, they just took two black bars and wrote bigot and covered him up.
Ooh, got him.
And so that was within my post as well. And
Mm.
so yeah,
He didn't like
I think
that.
probably all of those factors, and then I could not think for the life of me. I was like, I need something that amuses me, and then I actually, when I came up with that stupid handle, I was like, this is so unnecessarily long. I'm like, this is
Perfect.
such a
It's
long
perfect.
name.
No, it's perfect. I mean, I always like it when you don't have to have any of like the underscores or the dots or the
Yeah,
high, like finding something where you don't have to do any of that.
I know, because I swear to you, every time I talk to someone on the phone and I'm like, my email is the underscore kish at iCloud, and they're like, B like Buzz? I'm like,
Ugh.
the like the, and then like I spelled it like 5 times the other day on the phone, and I was like, finally, I put it on speakerphone, and I was like, can you hear me better? She was like, no, I still think you're saying B. I'm like, okay, well,
Well,
cool, cool, cool,
that's a you
cool.
problem then, diva.
I know this is not a we problem, that's a me problem, and the me being you. But one thing I will say that I wanted, that is important for anybody that listens, and or anything, the one great thing that I've had in the past 6 years is, even though I wasn't working because I was sick all of the time, I was in the hospital like 30 times. I spent pretty much all of February 2023 in the hospital. Um, but if you do not have insurance and you live in a state that is a red state that did not take the Medicaid expansion, you cannot get any kind of affordable health insurance. So here, we did not take the Medicaid expansion. So affordable becomes $550 a month. And I'm like, what? And it's not even like a good plan. It's just like a regular, I'm like, no. So then it's harder to get resources, especially if you're a single person. If you're a person with a child, you can probably get Medicaid fairly easier than just an everyday person. So I had to get it under, so be that as it may, hospital systems, which are in most large cities, have charity programs. So much like food stamps, much like anything in that nature that's a program like that, basically you have to have an income threshold that you are underneath. And then normally they have a type of charity program, and people do not even know they exist. They don't know that. And I mean, like, I've literally had $100,000 surgeries, like, basically written off as charity. It's not because I was on that program I ever received care that was less than. I always received good care, and they were always nice. So the biggest thing to impart on anybody is to understand your options when you are facing very terrifying and scary health instances. And, if you don't have the money, don't panic. They have to treat you. Medical debt looks entirely different on your credit score than any other debt. So, in that regard, make sure you take care of yourselves, but also make sure that you can ask and say, okay, well, do you have any kind of charity programs? Do you have anything else in which you can assist me with? And so they don't actively advertise them, but when
I didn't know about it.
Yeah, and when you ask them directly, they will. And they're like, oh, well, we have this program, but it takes a few weeks to get. I'm like, okay, well, can we do that? Like, yeah. Thank you for telling me, because I got a bill for, I think, for my first heart surgery, I think my bill was like $385,000. And I remember getting the bill, and I was just like, am I about to have another heart attack?
Right. It's like, is this about to send me into cardiac arrest? Jesus.
Yes, it is. It's gonna be like, sorry, girl, you're dead for real this time.
Be like, you almost got it.
I know.
You almost made it. This bill's gonna get you.
I know. I'd be like, man, all of this, and I die over a bill.
Oh my gosh. Man.
I did tell my doctor, though, when I was really sick, and I was like, and I asked her, I was like, do you think I'm a pleasant person? She was like, well, sometimes, yeah. And I was like, well, I'm going to just let you know that if you let me die in your care, I was like, I'm going to be the most pissed off ghost you can ever imagine. I was like, I will ruin everyone's life.
I mean, period. I mean, how pleasant really can one be going through what you were going through? I mean, if you like that.
Well, it's funny because, like, I mean, to me, I internalized a lot of it, and I'm still even dealing with that post-traumatic stress and all of that, because keep in mind, I still have to see all these people. I still have to go to the doctor. Yeah. So, like, it's not like it's changing how I see the doctor. What it's changing now is that we are going to start altering my medication scale and the levels that I take. So in May, we're going to begin by cutting my liver medications, which is basically diuretics and laxatives, but they're like extremely strong. We're going to cut them in half. So, and then see if my body can keep itself from swelling up and things like that. So that's our next step. And then just
Well,
general stuff that I do at the doctor, like everyday
yeah.
stuff that everybody has to do. Like, hey, do I need this vaccine? Hey, can you refill my prescriptions?
Yeah.
And she's wonderful. And I love seeing my doctor. Like, I always,
Well, good.
like, weirdly, everyone's like, you really look forward to seeing her. I was like, oh, no, I love her. I was like, she's wonderful. I was
Well,
like,
I'm
she's
so
always
glad.
like, and she's so smart. And it's so crazy because she is a very young doctor and she figured out what was wrong with me when like board certified people that are extremely experienced, people that are
Mm.
like one of the heads of the practice she works in was the first doctor I saw. And I can tell you personally, I was like, this man is incompetent. Like, now
Mm.
she, on the other hand, is not. Like, if I ask her a question or anything, she does, in my viewpoint, what any doctor should do, which is if she doesn't know it, she'll tell me. And then she'll be like, I'm going to research it and get back to you. And then I don't have
Mm.
to explain things to her as well. Like, when I go in, she's not like, so why are you here? I'm like, well, how much time do you have?
Yeah. So how much time do we have on the top of this appointment to let
I
me
know.
give you the
I
whole
know. I'm like,
rundown?
I'm like, my chart says this is only supposed to be 15 minutes. And you know what? I haven't been okay since the early 80s when I was born. So
Oh
let's
my
just go.
god. Oh my goodness. Well,
That's what I like to
damn.
say now when people are like, they're like, how you doing? Or they're like, you doing okay? I'm like, not since 82.
We're just struggling, but we're here. We're here.
I know. I'm like, the struggle is real. Like, I mean, but now
Well,
that I've actually struggled through, hey, I really am gonna die. Like, I had like a funeral planned out. I had like where my ashes are supposed to go. I had to do all of this. I had to
yeah.
catalog everything that I own so it could make sure that if I did die, like who specifically stuff went to. And I'm like, who's gonna want my video games and DVDs and books? I'm like, I mean, okay, have fun. I do have good taste, but I mean, okay.
Well,
Just so long as
damn.
my sister doesn't get them, because she has terrible taste.
Yeah, no.
And I don't
Sorry,
and
sister.
I don't need her getting some like street cred based on my cred, even if I'm dead. But you
No.
know what? I'll just go haunt her. That would be good.
There you go. Well, I mean, I hope you're not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, diva. Stick
No, I
around.
have no plans to go anywhere soon. The only plan I have is I'm traveling this year.
Fabulous. I mean, and jokes
Fabulous.
aside, I know like the not been fine since '82. Jokes aside, how are you doing now after all of this? Like, you sound like you're in a much better, more positive place mindset. Is that the case? Like, how is that? How are you doing up here in
Honestly,
your head?
honestly, not great. It's
Mm.
there's like there's an incredible feeling of being just very very lucky and feeling like it's kind of like you feel like you won the lottery, but you're like, I won the life lottery.
Mm.
It's not like the Hunger Games.
Sure.
So there's that, but then there was a certain, and especially because it had been like 2.5 years, almost 3 years that I've been doing this. And so I had settled in with a routine. I was like I was very isolated and I was not talking to anyone like outside of like my oldest friend and my mom. And that's pretty much it.
Mm.
And, I'd actually come to terms with the fact that I was like, I am not going to survive this. Like, I was like, even all joking aside with all of my scrapes, I was like, eventually you have to pay your debt. I was like, so eventually something random is going to happen. I was like, I'm going to be that person that's like, who dies from a TV falling out of a window on a street? And you're like, me. That was me. Hi, it's me. Um, and so it, for me, to answer it honestly, am I allowed to swear? Can I swear?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it fucked me up really bad. So like when she told me a couple weeks ago, I was just incredibly overwhelmed with emotion. And then it was also very strange because I had these other plans and suddenly it was like, oh, well, all of that means nothing. Like, so now you're in this category. So it is a weird feeling and I'm trying to work through it. I talked to my doctor about it and got some new medication because I'm having some extreme highs and extreme lows. So
Mm.
instead of inflicting what I need to deal with on other people, I thought it was the best thing to do is to deal with it myself and talk to my doctor. So I
Yeah.
started a new medication that is really helping. And honestly, it's just going to take time, I think, because I mean, I lived with that thought so long that even when I hear it, it doesn't sound real. Like when people are like, oh, well, I mean, if that's not it, then what is it? And you're just kind of like, yeah. So it's very, very, very strange. It's a very strange feeling. I am very grateful and I'm very happy about it. But, obviously I have my own days and I have times where, I snap or things like that. But I think that's everybody.
Oh yeah, everything has nuance. Everything is like shades of gray. Nothing's black and white. But
Yeah,
thank you
I
for
mean,
being
that's why.
vulnerable and honest.
Oh yeah, I think it's extremely important, and it's extremely important for people to understand. It's like, I mean, during this process, like when this was happening, like you could never guess what, like on a daily basis, what my like reaction would be. Like some days I'm trying to be Barbara Streisand, like winning an Oscar by just like taking to the bed and like laying there and watching like 26 episodes of Gilmore Girls, and then they're like, I have days like this where it's like I've been up since like 5:30 this morning. So I've been like cleaning, doing laundry, like working out. Well, I have like a movie on that I've seen 100 times in the background. So it's very weird. But the new medication is helping. So I don't have the issues of being like, hey, I'm going to be so depressed that I'm going to stay in bed. So that's good. That's good. And I want people to understand that if you go through something like this, if you go through a very traumatic health experience, it does change you, and it does take time, and it's okay to not feel like you're okay. And even when you're cured or in remission or whatever, like you don't really feel like that's the case, because you still have to deal with this stuff on the daily basis that you do. You just have a better outcome, or a better percentage for outcome. And that one thing that it's important for people to know, and I think it's important to talk about it, like at least in terms of mental health. For me, it's helpful. So
Yeah, I mean,
but I ramble a lot, so there you go.
I appreciate. No, I appreciate it, because I mean, like I'm thinking, like, yeah, it's got to be now. Like, yes, you made it through the other side, like physically, but then mentally, like you're still. I mean, that's a lot of shit that happened to you that you had to like. That's a lot, and I'm sure like it's a lot to sort through. I can only imagine what that's like for you. But
what I'm doing now, because I am a writer, so I am actually doing I guess it's a memoir about the whole thing, like starting in 2018 and going to like 2 weeks ago, since I know how that story ends. So I think I'm going to write it, because I think it could be also more helpful, because you'll get like a whole lot more depth of like what's happening. And I think as well, I use writing and I use art that I create, be it a photograph or a short story or a novel or whatever. For me, it is, it's about this. It's about creation in terms of like what we do and as artists. And I think that's important. And I think it's important that we kind of delve deeper into those issues. So that's why I wanted to write a book. And I don't, the funny thing is I don't really write as myself ever. I have proxy characters, or just characters that have traits like me, but I've never liked to flat out write my own story and things about me. But, I think that in this instance, this might be something that could help somebody in the future. I hope. Yeah. But I've got the whole story map and everything. Yeah, I hope so. And I want people, and obviously, as I do more of it, I would love for you to read it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I fully support that. You can come right back on here. We can chat about it again. We can promote it. We can do all of that stuff. Whenever we get there, we'll just have you right on back.
Yes. I mean, now you're stuck with me. I'll be like, this is so fun. Chat with me again.
Oh my god. Oh, and we can chat. We don't have, like, we could do this again minus the recording stuff. Like, we don't gotta.
Yeah, but you know what? The recording is actually fun. So I like it.
Good. I'm glad.
But then again, I am a person that like has some voyeur tendencies. So
well, hey, I'll take it.
I'm like Trixie and Katya.
Love it. No, I will. Then you will. The door's always open. You're welcome on Diva whenever.
Yay! Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you. And
And
I
thank you
think
for
that like
listening to
this
me
is
talk for 30 minutes. Good Lord.
oh my god, no, of course. Like I'm so that's what this was for. This is mostly the forum for y'all. For I because I mean I've already talked by the time they're getting to this point and like I've already talked for like half an hour about my shit. This is for y'all. But with that, I think that that's a good little natural close here. And so
Yeah.
unless there's anything else
Yeah.
that like you were wanting to like anything that was missing, any part of the story, but like if not, like I just want to
No.
thank you so much again for sharing.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been very helpful.
Well, good. I'm glad. And would you like the divas to find you? Is it just Threads? Are there other places? Where can they go
Oh,
find
you
you?
can find me on Threads and Instagram. It's at Trash Panda Pizza Rat, all one word, no hyphens, no underscores, nothing. You will get to
All
see
spelled
my
properly.
cat and maybe some kittens that I rescue because I do rescue cats in my neighborhood when I find them. I have actually like a colony of cats because they won't leave. And I think my neighbors don't like me because of it. And there's like a lot of them that come up and someone's like, where did they all come from? I was like, I found them. And someone's like, you're like a 5-year-old right now. And I'm like, but I pay for this food and I take care of them. So no, I'm not like 5-year-old me because 5-year-old me was just like, it's fluffy. I want it. I mean, I'm still absolutely that way because, everything I do is like to appease my 12-year-old self. So,
As it
yeah,
should,
so
as
there
it
will be pictures of
should.
my cat and food and probably some selfies of me. Actually, yes, lots of those. And then on Threads, yeah, same handle and just my general shenanigans and nonsense. So you'll see me pop up talking to Presto and,
Hell yeah.
and you have no
Well,
idea when we're going to talk to each other because I'm always up at the strangest hours and people are like, "Do you ever go to sleep?" So
I can
sleep is
relate
an
to that.
elusive creature for me.
Yes. Well, anyway, thank you again. We're gonna probably still chat a little bit after we hit stop recording, but bye, divas.
Sure. Bye.
All right, that was something. Like, thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us, joining me in the divas, sharing your incredible story. Like, wow, it's wild. So glad that you're doing well now and that you're still here with us and kicking and slaying and yeah. But thank you again for joining us, and thank y'all divas for listening and tuning in another week. And again, like, just thank you. It's fun. This has been a fun little project for me. I know I say it every week, but thanks so much. Rate 5 stars, subscribe, comment, subscribe, like the podcast, rate, share with your friends, all that stuff. Anyway, thanks, y'all. I'll see y'all divas next week.